So animes weren't always my favorite thing growing up, but I did enjoy a few such as Sailor Moon, and the one that I really did like was a mecha anime called Robotech. So I was kind of excited when I got to take a look at a board game based on it. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Robotech Force of Arms.
It's time for another Dice Tower review with Robert Geistlinger.
So here we're taking a look at Robotech Force of Arms. This is a two-player tactical game where players will be taking on either the role of the Zentradi or the Robotech Defense Force. Normally I don't cover setup in these videos, but this one's pretty simple to set up, so I figure there's no harm in going through it. You're going to place out this empty space card, you're going to shuffle out the ship cards, and then deal them in a 3x3 grid. Each player is going to take their particular set of fighter, hero, and command cards. They're also going to take their particular tokens and a reference card, and then they're going to start the game out with 2 spy tokens. The rest of these tokens here will just set to the side. And after that, you're ready to play. The first player who goes will decide a particular side, a row and column here, that they're going to be their particular fighter area. So in this case, this player might decide that this side and this side is going to be where they're going to play their cards, and so the other player would play into these sides. The game itself is played in 4 phases. You have the tactical, the token, the hero command, and then the scoring phase. I'm going to move a few things out of the way here so we can go through each phase individually. In the tactical phase, the first thing that's going to happen is the player is going to move ship cards. In doing this, you're going to select one of your cards. So we'll say here the Zentradi are going first. You'll select one of your ship cards and swap it with another card out in the grid, including the empty space. So the Zentradi might decide to move this strike cruiser over here, moving this particular armor 1 over here. Now what they're going to do is they're going to play 2 fighter cards out into the area. Now these cards don't need to go to the same spot. You can place one in one row, one in a column. You put them both in the same spot. But keep in mind that each position here can only hold 2 cards. So let's say they decide they're going to play just these 2 cards here. Now they can decide how they're going to play them. And we could maybe play this card here, and maybe we'll play this card here. Now, I'm showing them face up at the moment just so you can take a look at the cards, but typically we're going to be playing these cards face down. But let's move over to the Robotech Defense Force, and let's say they decide to move the Oberth here, maybe move the empty space here. So this is going to be changing, and then they decide to play 2 cards. Well, let's go ahead and play these 2 cards here. So we have the Battleoid VF1D. We decide to play it maybe here face down, but then this one, the Battleoid VF1R, this one can be placed face up or face down. If we place it face down, then nothing happens. But if we decide to maybe play this one, say face up here, then what's going to happen, it says if played face up, gain 3 attack tokens. So they would play that there, and then they would get to take 3 attack tokens into their possession to use a little bit later. Now in this phase, you may also use any spy tokens that you have. In the beginning of the game, you have the 2. And you may also play shiplock tokens. Now it's these tokens here, and of course you're going to need to gain them by playing cards. Shiplock tokens do exactly what you think they do. They lock a ship in place so that it can no longer be moved. Spy tokens can be played in 2 ways. You can either use them to maybe they decide to play it here. This allows them to flip this over. Or they can be used to counter tokens. So let's say the Robotech Defense Force went to play this to flip this over. The Zentradi could play theirs to counter it and stop it from happening. Now let's wipe these real quick and let's go ahead and finish setting up as if we played, because you're going to go back and forth until each player has played all of their fighter cards out onto the table. Okay, so we went ahead and we've done this, and now we're going to move into the second phase, which is going to be the token phase. This is exactly what it sounds like. In this phase, each player is going to take turns playing tokens out onto the board. Now you have a couple of different tokens, and we've already seen what the spy and shiplock token does. So let's go ahead and just cover the rest. You've got these +1 tokens here, which are going to add +1 attack to whatever ship they're on, and you're going to have a +1 defense, which is going to add to the defense of a ship. You've also got these proto-culture tokens. Now these are a special type of token. When played to an enemy ship, they'll add +2 to the attack value being applied to that card, and if played on your own ships, then they're going to add 2 defense to the value of that particular ship. A couple other quick notes here about them is that spy tokens cannot cancel these proto-culture tokens, and there may not be more than one on a particular ship unless a command card later allows that rule to be broken. So we'll decide that this player decides to play a +1 defense here, and then this one decides to play an attack here. This one goes to play a proto, maybe to this ship, and this one plays a defense. And you kind of get the point. We'll just go ahead and set up a few of these, and then we'll move into the next phase. So now we've just done some token setups as if each player went, and we're going to move into the hero command phase. In this phase, players are going to play heroes and command cards from their hand in order until each player has played exactly 1 hero card and 2 command cards. So let's say we start here with the Zentradi, and they've got 4 specific heroes they can play. We've got Maria, we've got Britai, we've got Azonia, we've got Chiron, but let's say they decide to play, let's say Britai here. All right, and this says they gain 2 attack and 2 defense tokens, place 1 token on 4 different ships. So they would gain some tokens here, which we will take in, and then we need to place them on different ships. So maybe they put an attack here, an attack over here, and maybe defense like this. So that's going to be the hero card they play, and then we move over to the Robotech Defense Force, and maybe they play Max Sterling. That gives them 3 attack tokens that they also need to play on 3 different ships. So they'll put here, here, and here. And then you've got these command cards. So if we look over here at the Zentradi, they've got things such as reposition, secret mission, infiltrate, things like that. Let's say they do, we'll say they do reposition here, which gives them a command. Swap the location of 2 of your ships as long as they're not locked. Well, maybe they decide they want to swap these 2 ships here out. Maybe there's something that they're not liking in the setup of these cards. And so this will go back and forth until each player has played exactly 2 command and 1 hero, at which point we're now completely done and we're going to move into the final phase for scoring. So in this phase, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip over all of these cards to get what our final values are going to be for each column and row for each ship. Now this is where the game can get a little mathy, but I'll just take you through a couple ships here real quick just to show you how that works. So what you're going to do is you're going to evaluate each ship. So let's say we decide to look at the Zentradi flagship here. What we're going to do is we're going to add up the attack and defense values of that ship from each card coming to it from each column and row. So as far as this goes, we see it has a base defense of 3. It has no tokens adding to it. And then we'll look at its cards here. So it has 3, we have 7, 8, looks like we have 13, that's an attack, so 13. So we have 13, which means that's going to be its defense value. Now we're going to look at the attack value of the opposing forces. Well, if we look on here, we see this token here, the protoculture, which means we know we have 2. Look here, we have 6, 8, and these are both defense cards. So it's going to be 13 to 8. Therefore, the Zentradi are going to win that particular card. So they would take that card in their possession for points. We do the same for each ship going all the way around until all of the cards have been claimed, or in the event of a tie, the ship is simply flipped over and nobody wins that card. Once you've evaluated all of the ships, then players will simply count up these victory point values on the cards that they captured, and whoever has the most points is the winner. So let's look at Robotech Force of Arms. Now this review is probably going to be rather quick because this game is over rather quick. Not a bad thing. This game is light. It plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. Honestly, for me, it's about 20 minutes, even with teaching it. I think I can teach this game in about 2 minutes. But something that you might have recognized is that this game is actually a reworking of another game called Archmage Origins from SolarFlare as well. And I wasn't a fan of Archmage Origins. It was not a game that appealed to me. I tried playing it once. I found it lackluster. Whereas I like this. What I'm referring to this a little bit is kind of Archmage Plus, because it takes that system and adds things to it, such as the moving of the ships and adds more tokens. And those hero and command cards really adds an extra element of depth to this game that was just completely missing from Archmage Origins. So while Archmage Origins was a play a few times and I got rid of it, I'm going to keep this game. Now, other positives in this game is the artwork. I really like this, and fans of Robotech are going to love this artwork. And one thing I liked from a thematic sense that I didn't mention in the overview was the fact that the Robotech Defense Force has a card later in the second to last phase that allows them to transform the SDF-1 from its ship form to its robot form, powering it up. And that's a nice thematic element. Now, I'm not saying the game's without its negatives. The first thing is in that phase where you're moving the ships around, it can feel very tug of war. For me, I like it. I liked that whole back and forth, and while my opponent could undo what I do, I could bluff them into moving things that I want them to move as well. So if you play it just right, it's fun. And I did, just for giggles, because I had heard from a few people that that phase of the game was a little annoying. I tried playing it once with my friend, not moving the ships, and again, then I felt like I was playing Archmage and I wasn't enjoying it. The other thing is the scoring phase. For some, it might feel a little monotonous, adding up those attack and defense values for each ship. There's two things I would say to that. The first one being that I personally like it. I like that bit of math. But also, you've got two players at the table. Each one could start in a particular side, and they could just score each of the ships, and you'll get through it rather quickly. So neither of those really detract from me. Overall, what I found is a game that made me enjoy the Archmage Origins system. It has Robotech on it, which excited me, and is a game that I'm personally going to keep in my collection. I'm going to use it, as I said, as a filler game, and I hope that you have enjoyed this overview and review of Robotech Force of Arms, and it's helped you decide if it might be a good game for you and one other person at least. And I look forward to seeing you folks next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.